Welcome back to Stories Worth Hearing. I'm John Quick, your host. Today I'm joined by Kelly Siegel, the CEO of National Technology Management and the best-selling author of Harder Than Life and Happier Than Life. Kelly grew up on 7 Mile in Detroit, faced adversity head-on, and went on to build a multi-million-dollar tech firm. Now he's leading a national movement to flip the script on AI in the workplace. Instead of seeing AI as a threat, Kelly shows us how it can make employees more valuable than ever. Through his partnership with Prompts.ai, he's helping Fortune-level companies bring no-code, drag-and-drop AI tools to every department, boosting productivity, cutting costs, and protecting company data. In this conversation, we'll talk about Kelly's personal journey, how he overcame hardship, why he believes AI is a career accelerator, and what every employee and leader can do right now to thrive in the AI-driven economy. So with that, let's welcome Kelly Siegel to the show.
Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. This will be really fun to kind of hear a little bit about your story, where you grew up, a bunch of the businesses that you're involved in, which I think some are very cutting edge. But first, I got to ask the question that I read that you grew up either on 8 Mile or near 8 Mile on the tough streets of Detroit. I think that's where you're at today. Tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up in Detroit.
Yeah, Jonathan, it's really good to meet you. And I was fascinated. My jaw was dropping hearing your story about being in Alaska. So I think it might be tougher to be in Alaska than it is in the mean streets of Detroit. But if you've ever seen 8 Mile, the movie with Eminem, I went to high school with Eminem, with Marshall for a year. And so that movie was pretty much how we grew up. It was literally a betrayal, drinking drugs, fighting, violence. And I was sitting at a dinner near my hometown, and I actually saw one person I knew from high school. And I looked over and I said, "Whoa, there's someone I know from high school." And he looked at me and goes, "Yep, I'm the only one that's not dead or in jail." And I say that all the time. Like, most of my high school friends are dead or in jail. And
Dang.
it's hard to get out of the rut when you're born in. So it's nature versus nurture is very hard. It's the hardest thing to get out of. But I did, and now I got to pay it forward, John. And that's what I'm doing with the Harder Than Life movement. It's what I do with all the books. And if I can do it, a poor old kid from 8 Mile and Van Dyke in Michigan, anybody can do it, but it's hard.
Yeah. Tell me what it was. Tell me some of those lessons that you learned. Maybe what's one of the biggest lessons you learned growing up in a city like Detroit that still is applicable to you today?
Well, man, there's so many. Just consistency wins out. That's literally what I learned. To this day, life's going to punch you in the face. And you have to be able to stand back up, count your gratitude, and keep going. Because I just left a meeting for my IT company where it's a long-standing client of mine, and the guy was so unhappy and just lashing out. And you realize it's not about you. So it's all about life is hard, and you got to be harder than life. And excuse me for the pun, but it is true. And the best investment you'll ever make on yourself, and I learned this late in life, is building the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror. Because everything, if you love yourself and you know how to emotionally regulate, everything is downhill from there.
So talk to me a little bit about what were some of those first maybe businesses or entrepreneur ideas that you tried out, and how did they go? You're obviously successful now, which we'll talk about later, but talk to me a little bit about what that looked like early on, kind of teasing out your entrepreneur spirit.
Yeah, I started very early, but it was out of necessity. It was that my parents were alcoholics and drug addicts, and they were never home. So I had to get a job. I lied and said I was 13 when I was 12. I got a paper route. And immediately I took over a distressed paper route where it was 4 blocks and there were 40 subscribers. And I immediately went door to door and got it to 120. And they were doing a promotion where they were paying, I can't remember, John, if it was 10 or 20 bucks per subscription, but I got an immediate, $1,000 hit, and I was able to bankroll some money. And I did that because I had to eat. There was no food in our house. So it's amazing how when you have to do something, your back is against the wall, that you talk about life lessons. The body, us as humans are extremely resilient at getting what we need, not what we want, but what we need. You ever seen, a crackhead who has no money? They're resilient enough to get their drugs every single day.
Every day they'll figure it out.
I always tease people. I'm like, man, you're batting 1,000. You've gotten through everything until this point. So if you think you can't, or you think you can, you're right. So my first thing was a paper route, and I did lie, but I was out of necessity. Then I went door to door candy sales, and then I sold a paper subscriptions, and then I've always been a hustler, and it was all I just literally, and this is what it do to this day. Is I work really, really hard. I adjust a few variables and I keep growing and making it better. So when I went and did door-to-door sales, I learned what I did when I was knocking on doors to build the paper route subscription. And what I would do, and this is a great advice for everybody listening, follow the directions of what you're told to do. So we had this whole script when we went door to door selling candies, and the script didn't make any sense to me, but I would go to door, I'd knock, and I'd be like, you want to buy some candy? No. So I started reading the script, started making sales, because it changed it from candy to helping out youth. And so I would say, whatever your boss, whatever your mentor, whatever someone's doing that's winning, emulate that, put your own little twist on it, your own little tweak, and make it better and make it yours and go for it. And I've done that today in my IT cybersecurity company, all the way through to my personal brand. And what you measure gets better. So I knew that if I did something so many times, I could get an outcome. And then if I tweaked it and it went down, I would tweak it the other way and then go back up. So measure everything. And really, it's just this stuff is a numbers game. Life is a numbers game. I hate to say that. You can slant the numbers in your favor, but the more hands you shake, the more money you make, the more doors you knock, the more money you're going to make.
So you put some of this knowledge into a book called Harder Than Life and Happier Than Life. What prompted you to write that, and what was that process like for you?
Well, it was a total accident, like everything in my life. Starting my companies was an accident. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time, getting shot at was an accident. But there's always been God looking out for me. I'm not a religious guy, but I'm a very spiritual person. And I believe that someone's always been looking out for me. And what got me to write that is I made a change in my life in 2019 that I said, I want to live a life without drinking. So I just said, I'm going to live a life without alcohol. And when I did that, obviously the pandemic hit. It was 2019, about 16 months into it. Pandemic hits, everybody goes into day drinking, working from home, and I had nothing to do. So I said, I'm going to write a book about my life, and I'm just going to give it to my customers at NTM and just show them how I got here, and that we're going to make all these changes. We're going to revamp, and we're going to get better. And I had the spiral notebooks where I wrote everything in, and I called a publisher and I dictated everything to him, and I had a book. So when the book was ready, the owner of the publishing company calls me. He's like, what are you going to do with this? I read your book and I grew up the same way. And he said, what are you going to do with this? I said, I'm just going to give it away to my customers. And he said, no. This is going to be a bestseller, which it was. And he says, you got to start a podcast. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I don't know what to do with that. Is that hard? So I did it and I love it. And here I am today. But I will tell you, you asked me how the process was like. It was hard. It was very cathartic. I mean, it starts off, the first sentence is about me having to empty a jar of urine of my drunken stepfather. And so I did a lot of crying. It was cathartic and it was healing, man. I love it. And it was embarrassing at first. Like, holy smokes, did I just say that? So my sister read it, who was 9 years older than me. She said, Kelly, this is all you remember? And I was like, why? It was worse? And she said, yes. So, but then I decided I wanted to be positive. So I wrote Happier Than Life after it and just said, this is what I've done since then. And the next one will probably be Healthier Than Life. But AI keeps calling me. So I might write a book about AI. And, I'm so tired of people making things difficult. I like to optimize everything. As you can hear, I'm the business and human optimization specialist. Give me the process, let me make it better, and I'm going to give it back to the world because I don't require much.
So along the way, you started a technology company and now you're involved, I think, with Prompts.ai. Talk to me a little bit about where you think AI is at and maybe where it's going. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
John, I want to dispel something right off the bat. It is, I interviewed the Microsoft executive. She said 30 million jobs. No, she said, 30 million jobs are going to be displaced. That's what she said. And I said, I don't think that they're going to be displaced. I think they're going to be changed. Because in 1940, 6 to 10 jobs that we have today didn't exist. So I'm going to tell you right now that I believe AI is going to enhance us, not replace us. So to your listeners, please don't be afraid of AI. But if you're using it to do your job, to do your job for you, then be afraid. But if you're doing it, If you're using AI to enhance and make it better, then kudos to you. So you'll hear, if you were in social media, you hear it's all about prompts. Which is funny because we partnered with a company called Prompts.ai, and it's so early on in this platform that stop me if you've heard it, we're optimizing it to make it easily digestible for every business and every human, because it was such a crazy concept. What they did is they got every single LLM. So think of every AI tool. It's in this thing. So the ones that people are familiar with, ChatGPT, Grok, Google's, whatever the name of theirs are. And you can get them all in there because a lot of times people are flipping between the LLMs and it's all in here and you can grab and piece which ones you want. It's like Ford, GM, and Chrysler all working together. And I don't think these AI guys wanted to do this. So the moral of the story is, what do I see? Anything formulaic is going to be AI. But what you can't create is the creativity. So go in there and use it as your thought partner. So every speech that I write, every business decision that I make, one of the things that I use, I'm buying IT companies left and right. I take the finances and I prompt it and say, what am I missing here? What questions should I be asking? So instead of having to pay my lawyer and my CPAs hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's done in 5 seconds for me and says, do not touch this deal. And I've programmed in the parameters of what I want. So think of that. It's not doing my job. It's just making me be able to go and analyze more companies faster. So it's helping you do your job faster, which is a problem with the United States. Some people tend to be a little lazy. Some people just want status quo and they want their job to be easier. No. You're going to be expected, coming from an entrepreneur, I'm going to expect my employees to 2 to 10x their output. Because what used to take a day or hours or days takes minutes.
So what are your thoughts on, I think it sounds like you came from nothing. You're very successful now. Sometimes I think people that are getting out of college, they want to be the CEO day 2 on the job, making, $400,000 a year. What's your advice to kind of the new up and coming young generation as they're trying to aspire to be entrepreneurs?
Oh my goodness. So I have a 16-year-old daughter, and the number one thing is love yourself, learn about yourself, put your phone down, pay attention to the world, talk to people, question everything, because you're being constantly bombarded with an algorithm that's trying to tell you that you're right. And I got a news flash. I'm going to be 50 years old this year. The older I get, the less I realize I was right about anything. And as you get older, you realize it doesn't matter. So look in the mirror, learn emotional intelligence. And how you do that is just taking the power of the pause. Because I got a news flash for you. We're going to be triggered. Somebody's going to not like you. Somebody's going to be wrong to you. And you got to be equipped to be like, oh my God, I was wrong. This next generation is coming up soft. And so I would say, get tough, love yourself, raise your standards, but work on yourself, because those skills will translate to anything. Because adversity is here, it just left, or it's on its way. So be used to it and be comfortable facing adversity and keep going through it. And I always say, be the buffalo, just keep going. Because in your buffalo and you go into the storm's coming at you, you're in it a lot less of the times. Just get mentally and physically tough. And the easiest way to do it is to go to the gym. You see, I work out a lot. Go to the gym, because if you could do that consistently, you keep the promises to yourself, you'll keep the promises to everybody else. And it makes you physically strong, makes you mentally fit, which gives you every tool you need to win in this world.
So one of the companies you have is National Technology Management. Tell folks what that is and what led you to start the company. I know that you have a number of different things you're doing, but that seems to be a pretty successful one. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Before we go there, you keep calling me successful, and I want people to understand what my definition of success is. Yes, I have a few dollars. Yes, I have some homes. Yes, I have some cars. That does not what makes me successful. I wake up every morning and I love the person in the mirror. I'm at peace in my heart, and I wake up and I'm absolutely fired up to live every single day. I believe our founding fathers got our Bill of Rights wrong, that we all have the inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I believe it is the pursuit of life, the pursuit of liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness. Because there's so many people walking around here. They're alive, but they're dead inside. They're free physically, but emotionally they're trapped in their head. So I want to implore your listeners and my fans to understand that it is a peaceful heart that makes me successful, not my bank account. And that would be for all those children or all those kids that are coming out of high school and college now. That you cannot take away. And it exudes off of me. If you ever meet me, you'll see the energy, you'll see the happiness. So back to National Technology Management. What was the question again?
What led you to start that company in the first place? Tell me the story behind it.
Oh, it's such a good story. You know, it's funny. I told you earlier, I alluded to everything happens for me and not to me. And I've just been in the right place at the right time. I was working for so I'm old enough, John, that I sold companies their first ever internet connection. And people were like, what do I need this internet for? And it's so crazy to tell people I lived in a time before the internet. And where we did spreadsheets and you did, the pink callback forms. And it was just crazy. And then I'd sell internet, and we were selling internet T1s for $2,100. Now you can get gig speeds for $100. Oh, I was selling that, and I was at a golf outing with a bunch of people in the telecom space. And I'm sitting there talking to this guy. They teamed me up with a guy who was on his phone the entire time. And I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, I'm a broker for all this. And I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, well, you sell one company, I sell them all. I was like, wow. And he's like, let me help you. And, I always tell people, you figure out the what and the why, what you want to do and why you want to do it, the how usually appears. I knew I wanted to start a business, and then this angel appeared on a golf tee, in a tee box, and helped me start my business, which was called Kelly Communications, which later, after some evolving, and I was sitting doing a SWOT analysis, and I said, I'm this successful brokerage or agent, telecom consultant, so to speak. Who can beat me? And I figured out that an IT integrator could beat me. So I set out to build that company. And turns out I was about 10 years ahead of everybody else.
Nice.
Because I did the voice over IP. I did the cybersecurity way ahead of everybody else. And I learned that sometimes, as you can use the MySpace, it's better to be Facebook than MySpace. Sometimes it's better to be the second person to market. So obviously nobody knows MySpace. That was the first Facebook. And then we all heard of Uber, but Lyft kind of let somebody else do the heavy lifting and come in behind, because, man, I'm telling you, we went through some voice over IP struggles. Like, it wasn't like it is now. And then when we used to sell T1s, 1.54 megabits per second, which all our houses are at least 1,000 now, you couldn't do what we do today. So I was in the right place at the right time, but I was available. You have to create space. I wasn't too busy being busy. So I had space to listen, and God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Talk less than you listen, which is hard for me to say because I'm on a podcast. But, and then that just kept evolving, and now we're gonna go down this AI path, because I see our space changing overnight. I mean, literally, we've been using computers to fix computers for over 10 years. We actually have been using automation so much that we've broke servers fixing computers. I just love to tinker and do, I say this all the time, impossible only describes the degree of difficulty. It creates a lot of gray hairs and lines in my face, but man, is it fun.
So one of the things you alluded to or said is you have faith and a spiritual aspect of yourself. How important of a role has that played into who you've become today?
Well, it's growing. I'll be honest with you. Faith over fear, faith and fear both believe in something in the future. Why not feed the positive one, which is faith? I've been growing up in where I told you I've been shot at. I've had guns in my face. I've been stabbed. I've been run over. I've been beat up. And every time that some near-death experience happened, I'm like, why am I still here? And I keep doing good. And we're big into charity. I'm doing a big charitable thing that I do every single year this Sunday. And I'm here for a reason. So every time that I feel like I'm down and out, and it has happened, man. I feel like I'm lucky and I'm happy, but there's times where just the world seems against me. I slow down, I breathe, I ask God what he wants me to do right now. And no more than not, he just says, relax. I got you. And I do talk to God or source or energy. There's something out there guiding us, John. And it just keeps me going every day, man. And if I sit back and I ask for something very specific, you don't believe that there's somebody working. I implore the listeners to sit for a second, get real quiet, get still, and ask for something. Say, God, and be very specific about your ask, and then sit and wait and watch. And I'm going to guarantee you'll get that. Now, if you sit back and give me $1 million, say, give me the opportunity to make $1 million, and then watch things collude to make you happy. And I see it every time. I'm very specific about things, and God keeps going and delivering in ways. It's probably energy that does that, because I'm creating energy, and it's the karmic law of what you put out, you get back. So I put out good vibes and good things come back to me, man. And I tell you, life is really good. It's challenging, difficult. I'm in the middle of I challenged myself this year. I'm going to be 50. So I want to do 500 workouts. When I'm done here, I got to go do my second one of the day, which is 367 workouts for this year. I didn't think that went through very much. I never said I was smart. I just said,
So there's probably, most of us have somebody that we've maybe looked up to or been a hero in their lives. Who's been that person for you, either recently or in the past?
Wow. Tough question. Up until very recently, it was me against the world. That's how I felt. And that's why I implore all the youth to work on themselves, because thoughts are magical lies. And now I've met you, and you're a new friend, and you can learn from everybody. But this is the beauty part about this world we live in now with social media and with YouTube and with the internet, is anybody can be your mentor. So one of my biggest mentors is Ed Milet. I've had the opportunity to meet him several times. We actually share podcast producers, and I try to emulate myself after him. We look a lot alike. We look at the world alike, but I didn't know him before a year ago. So he was still a hero of mine. So, but the beauty part is you can have different heroes you can take different pieces of everybody. I wish I could say it was my dad. My dad died very young, was never around. It's funny, after you heal, you look back at all the abuse, the quote unquote abuse I suffered, and I realize my mother and my stepfather were just making me tough, and that's, I find myself using some of their sayings to this day, but it took a lot of healing to get there. I always try to tell people to look at their parents, but my parents were never around. So that's a hard one for me to say, but Ed seems to be one of them. But I have a lot of good people in my life being in this space. I have a friend, Rudy Ricksteins, who's one of the best business coaches in the country. And make yourself available and be of value, and be a servant leader, give back. And it's amazing who will come and help you. And the funny thing about it is, what people don't realize, if you ask for help, most people will help you. I've asked big people to give me advice. I just got off of a coaching call with someone helping me with a speech that charges thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm like, sure, I'll help you. So,
you never know till you ask.
I'm a big reader, John. I think I'm a learn-it-all. So I read. Some of the people that I admire are like Martin Luther King. Some of the big people who've really made massive change in the world. Winston Churchill. I don't know. They were dead before I was born, but I admire them from afar.
That's awesome. So let's circle back a little bit to the AI, because I think this is fascinating. You partner with Prompts.ai. During COVID, everybody left the office buildings. Maybe very, less than 50% is returned. What do you think the future of work space, or just, companies with lots of employees, is going to look like?
I'm super stoked, because I think we're going to optimize the world. I believe we are coming into another, let's just call it like industrial revolution, but it's going to be a technical revolution. But it also opens up for some nefarious things. I think that World War III won't look like World War I and World War II. It's going to be a cyber battle. What do I think work's going to look like? I think, again, I alluded to it. You're going to be expected to output more. The inputs are going to be actually less, meaning it's not like you're working anymore. You're still going to work your 8 hours, but you're going to have to do more in those 8 hours. And what we're going to be able to do is amazing. There are going to be some displaced businesses, but there were displaced businesses back in the day. One of the first things that we did when I started selling high bandwidth is we displaced toll booths. I mean, I don't know your age, but we used to go and you'd pull up to a toll booth and you'd give the toll operator their money. Now you just pull up, swipe your credit card and they're unmanned because they all have internet connections. We were the first to do that 20 years ago. But that doesn't mean the toll worker doesn't have a job. Now the toll worker's delivering your freaking DoorDash. I mean, so those jobs are going to be changed, but they're still going to be jobs, and you're going to see self-driving cars. So maybe Uber and Lyft drivers are not going to have it, but they'll be something else. So just be of value, have positive mental attitude, and good things will happen. But it's going to get the people that want things to stay the same we're in the next 18 months are going to have a shock, and it might not even be 18 months. It might be a year. So they're going to be like, oh my goodness, this AI is out to get us. It's not. It's here to help us. It's going to freaking be amazing. Embrace it. If you're doing nothing now, you better start. Open up. All these platforms are free. Get in there and start asking it questions. My latest thing is I have the platforms interview me. I'll say, here's what I need done. Act as my business coach. Interview me for more context, no more than 5 questions, and then give me the answer. And it does it. It keep trying to spoof it. I keep trying to mess it up, and it just keeps delivering and delivering and delivering. So if nothing else, people lean into it. And we've seen some really crazy marketing companies as we know it. And I know that that's part of you are going to be the ones that are really providing value are going to make it. The ones that are just going through the motions aren't, because you're going to be able to use AI to do a lot of these things. However, what I love about this is it's going to level the playing field. We're all going to have access to this beautiful tool. It's who's going to step up and do it. I liken it to the gym, John. Like, we all can go to the gym, but most don't. So the people that do, they look good, they live longer, and they have a lot of confidence. The people that lean into this AI are going to be successful. Don't be afraid of it.
So let's say there's an 18-year-old young adult listening to this. Maybe they got $1,000. They have no idea what to do. What are the 3 things they should do to maybe spur them into a place to becoming an entrepreneur themselves?
That's actually a good question. I would go to Squid and I would prompt the AI and ask them that. It's usually not going to be anything. You want to take that $1,000 and get it working for you and figure out what you're passionate about and go develop a process and a platform for that and go sell it to other people. It's so funny you're saying this, because I was sitting down in the Prompts platform today with my 16-year-old daughter, and I was like, baby, you got to learn this. If you're not going to do anything, I want you to learn how to prompt AI, because that's all you ever hear. If you scroll through social media, the prompt, use this prompt, use it. Once you figure out the method, and it's like talking to a 5-year-old, it's just think of processes in your head. If you have to walk the AI through the process and then tell it what you want. You can't just, so many people go in there and make this better. So $1,000, you'd want to figure out a method to double and triple that fast. And what I would do is be leaning into this AI as hard as I could and fill a gap that's not out there right now, which there's a lot of them. I mean, that's the call that you saw me taking was I had a friend call me and say, hey, he owns a bunch of disaster restoration companies. He's like, you need to get in the disaster restoration space. He's like, I just heard of 7 breaches just happened where money was intercepted. So go find an area that's underserved. Take that $1,000, learn everything you can, and double and triple and quadruple it. But I would also go back to what I said and double down on absolutely work on yourself. Invest in yourself, invest in your emotional intelligence, invest in your self-love. Kids nowadays at 18, you can look, John, and see exactly if you're liked. They get all of their self-worth from social media. My daughter, she gets exiled out of group chats. She knows if they like her or not. It's a different world than I grew up in. You had to guess if people liked you. Now you know, because you were exiled out of the group chat. Love yourself. Get everything that you need. Everything that you require in your life, you can supply yourself. Get comfortable with that, and you'll be unstoppable. The more you can be alone and love yourself, the more you can do anything in this world. So I know I keep coming back to that because I can sit and I can be comfortable in myself, and that quietness, something will come to me. God will send a message. The energy, the source, something will send a message like that just happened to me with that download for this disaster restoration companies. But you got to be still, or else it can't catch you. I used to be busy when I used to back in my party days, running around everywhere, so busy nothing could catch me. And then once I got still and I was silent and I was in solitude, that's what I call my 3 S's. I wrote about it in Happier Than Life book. Those 3 things, stillness, silence, and solitude, will answer any question. Most of us can't do that. Kids, an 18-year-old kid gonna grab their phone.
Oh, yeah.
And look down. I take phone vacations. You want to hack? Take a phone vacation for 24 hours. Turn your phone off and don't look at it. I did it for 11 days last year. I'm going to do it for 7 days every single year. Between Christmas and New Year's, I shut my phone off and I put it away. It was a shock because you don't realize how much you need your phone. But then after 3 days, I loved it.
So I really appreciate you joining me. 30 minutes here has gone by in a flash. Folks, for listening in, I'm going to put the links to Kelly's book in the description, Harder Than Life, Happier Than Life. Before we head off, Kelly, you have any last minute thoughts?
I have this up in my bathroom. I love the Ram Dass quote of love everybody and tell the truth. The truth will always set you free. And if you love yourself enough to always tell the truth, you won't have any chaos in your life. It's weak people that need to lie. Just love everybody, tell the truth, and be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, folks. Again, we'll put all the links in the description and go check them out. Hope you have a great rest of your day, everybody that's listening. And Kelly, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, my friend.